Hi, everyone. My name is Tom Wolverton. I'm a science teacher here at iTech. It is my 8th year teaching science at iTech. I've taught biology and chemistry, issues in environment and technology, research and design, and I'm excited about this school year, the 2020-2021 school year, which is a lot different, but it's also exciting for me as a teacher to be able to learn new skills, new tricks, and new ways to deliver content and curriculum and hopefully hands-on labs to students. So my background, I did grow up here in the Northwest. I went to school out at the University of Rochester in Rochester, New York, where I got a degree in cell and developmental biology. I then went on to study biomedical sciences at the University of Connecticut Health Center. And there I did some research and found 3 human genes. One of those genes is now a major player in epilepsy research. From there, I started to teach in Hartford and Bloomfield, Connecticut, in a much more urban setting. I taught middle school for about 5.5 years out there. And then coming back to the Northwest, I taught for 5 years at Prairie High School. I taught pre-algebra. I taught integrated earth and physical science, and then biology as well as coaching. I helped coach girls soccer and science Olympiad, helped coach some basketball as well. So now here I'm at iTech. I've been here for 8 years, and I'm excited about the 2021 school year. That's a little bit more about me, and I want to talk to you a little bit more about the curriculum for your class this year. All right, in biology this year, we will talk a lot about how to become a good scientist. And so with that, the students will learn about how to do inquiry, how to set up questions, design experiments, and perform them. So by now, hopefully, you should have soil and seed kits that you picked up earlier this school year. We'll do a little bit longer term project with those seed kits that we'll get started on here in about a couple of weeks. We've also been investigating bioethics. I always think that's a great way to start off the school year by having students really investigate ethical dilemmas that are related to biological or medical issues. It also teaches the students a lot of good critical thinking, how to argue with evidence, and also how to kind of frame questions and really kind of understand all perspectives of an issue and how it might impact people and other things. So we'll be wrapping up the bioethics unit here shortly. We will be also starting to talk probably about the secret life of food. There's a book by Michael Pollan called Omnivore's Dilemma. It's a pretty cool concept, so I want to give you a little bit of preview of that.
Almost everyone's heard of Omnivore's Dilemma.
I look at omnivores as like the Bible for chefs.
It's the most important book on food politics of the last 50 years. When I first read Omnivore's Dilemma, it was this very buzzy book. People were writing about it in the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal, so it was kind of impossible to avoid this book.
What it really did for me, and probably a lot of other chefs, really just opened our eyes to what was happening, what was really out there.
I was concerned because as a Major League eater, we take a lot of flack. But I enjoyed it much more than I thought I would.
There's so much information about food. I'll be honest, this book kind of stresses me out.
We have a vested interest in making sure that more people read omnivores.
Well, the genesis of Omnivore's Dilemma goes back to some reporting I was doing for the New York Times Magazine. You have to remember I was an Easterner and had not really experienced the scale of modern industrial farming. And that's when it occurred to me that Americans didn't know where their food came from. And it would be interesting to do a kind of detective story following the food back to the source.
Basically, the book describes the state of food in America by exploring 3 different food chains:
Corn,
Grass,
and the forest.
the first section of the book, which I'd imagine was the eye-opener for most people, is about investigating the industrial cost of making everything out of corn.
when you walk into a grocery store, when you walk into any of those aisles, all you are seeing everywhere, whether or not you know it, is corn.
It was surprising and eye-opening how far we've come and how far we removed ourselves from this idyllic idea of a farm. And this sort of brought it right home, front and center.
In the second part of the book, Michael Pollan takes us to this small family farm called Polyface.
No fertilizers are used. Everything works through the relationships that nature has designed.
Basically, it all boils down to poop because the chicken poop is fertilizing and the chickens are eating something out of the cow's poop that they get their nutrients from.
Free ecological resources, the grass, the sun, the photosynthesis, the cow that turns this grass into delicious fat and meat for us. That's the true definition of sustainability.
The third section is about hunting and gathering.
We learn what it's like to hunt for your food and eat it, and all of the ethical problems that come along with that.
I really don't think I could do it. I don't think I could pull a trigger and kill a deer.
I've never shot a gun, but if you tell me that there's a pig that's going to be pancetta at the end of it, then let's go out there and shoot this thing.
The biggest impact that Omnivore's Dilemma has had is, one, people are really absolutely considering the types of food that we're eating, and two, I think people are really taking action. I don't think people used to really talk about raising chickens in their backyard in Brooklyn. I don't think that was realistic 10 years ago.
When you feel smarter about a subject, you don't generally feel engaged to make change. The power of omnivores is that you feel empowered.
When people start really thinking about how animals are being raised, and they say to themselves, I want to continue to eat meat, but I don't want it raised like that. I need the alternative.
The most dangerous thing about the industrial food system is that the food doesn't taste good. To have flavor, you have to have all the minerals and microvitamins that come out of healthy soil. So flavor and nutrition are sort of the same subject.
When you look at some of the things that are going on today, especially with diabetes and heart disease, and obesity is the same problem. Obesity is not from overeating, it's from eating junk. Just through eating better food, we can take care of a lot of this.
I'm really fortunate because in the area where I live, we have so many farms, but the rest of the country doesn't necessarily get to have that same experience.
It's a lot more expensive to be shopping directly from a farmer. Realistically, so many people in the United States can't afford to eat that way, but at least the NPR listening set can feel better about themselves.
I don't think we can afford to eat from an industrialized food system now. And we're just beginning to see the effects of a food system that's essentially broken. It's not a food system that we should be investing more in.
I didn't tell you what to do in this book. I was very kind of non-prescriptive. And a lot of people want a book to end with a pretty clear prescription.
I guess the first question I asked Michael is, can it really be changed? Is this something that could work on a larger scale? When you're talking about the amount of people that we're feeding, it's a huge ship that needs to be turned, and I don't know if you can turn it.
Well, one meal at a time is how you, I think, turn this ship. I mean, it's not going to happen overnight. I would hope at some point in the future this book will seem quaint, that things will have changed so much in the food system that people will read it as a historical curiosity. Realistically, I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, we'll get as far as we can, but it's going to be a lot of little maneuvers. Cheap food is baked into our economy, so we're going to need pressure from both the consumer, voting with his or her fork, and it's going to take changes in policy. Who knows if people will still be reading it in 10 years, let alone 50 years. But I hope it'll continue to incite questions in people about these really ordinary, everyday decisions that are very important. There's a lot at stake at the table.
All right, so hopefully we can be excited about that project coming up this fall. When we get to the spring, I do have a student teacher that will be joining us. Mary Wilson from George Fox University will be joining us as a student teacher. She's primarily a chemistry teacher, but will also be teaching biology to help learn about how to teach different sciences. So she'll be teaching a little bit more about genetics and cell biology when we get over to semester 2. When we get to semester 2 as well, we might have something called the WCAS assessment. That's the Washington Comprehensive Assessment of Science. Right now, it's up in the air as to if it's happening or not in 2021. But your students, when they become juniors, will have to take this comprehensive assessment. So that includes what they learned this year in biology. It includes physics, and it includes chemistry, and there's some concepts in astronomy and earth science as well. So that is on the radar, hopefully, for 11th grade. In terms of the syllabus, you can find this syllabus here on the screen on my website, and you can take a look at it. Hopefully, you've seen a little bit about our assessment system called Jump Rope. and our gauge grading. There are a couple videos out there explaining how that works as well. Another content area that we will be talking about is ecology. So when we do talk about the secret life of food, that will involve ecological concepts. And then I'll probably talk to you more about evolution in the spring as well. So we have a lot to do. My goal is to have hands-on projects as much as we can. It's hard from a distance to really learn about science unless you can get in there and do stuff. So I'm going to have a lot of good, hopefully creative thinking around how we can do that at home or in the classroom later if we come back. Anyway, my name is Tom Wolverton, and if you need to send me a message, you have questions, please let me know. Great to meet you, and I look forward to a great school year. Take care.